Hello everybody out there in Daily Motion World and YouTube land for this one. This is your good buddy Djclyve, the Ranma 1/2 character profile guy, taking a little break from the profiling right now. And, excuse me, I've been laid up for a little bit because I injured myself with filming my next project. But I've been doing a bunch of these commentaries here and there, and I thought it'd be fun to do a commentary on this, one of my most proud works, the Crepe King Joe Profile. This was a very interesting profile. As you might remember, it was part of a very gigantic special called Bit Character Month 2. And this was one of the last profiles I had on the drawing board. And I really, I had all my scripts written and everything, and this was like the absolute last one. I had no ideas for how to make it stand out, or if I was going to make it stand out, if I was just going to do it straightforward. But I came up with this wild idea when my wife and I went to Buffalo Wild Wings one night to watch a UFC pay-per-view, and I just thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to apply this to a character? And it just so happens that I had Crepe King Joe's script yet to write out, so it worked out well. And as far as his rivalry with Ukyo Kuonji, I think it worked out rather perfectly. And my mind just started racing. I mean, we all have our, crossover wars when it comes to anime and comic books and stuff like that. What would happen if Superman were to meet Wolverine, And I just thought I'd flesh out a bunch of these fights that could never happen and, just hype them up like it were a real life UFC event. And this is me coming up with a whole bunch of, dream matches that never occurred. One of which was on my script that I never was able to put in the profile just for time reasons, was All-Purpose Cat Girl Nuka Nuka versus Felicia from Darkstalkers. It would have been a cat fight, but I had to nix that one just because of time. Now, a lot of people might not realize, because judging from the comments I saw on this one, I don't think there's a lot of people who are both Ranma fans and UFC fans. So, but you might not notice the care I went into trying to match this up with a real life UFC event. I used a lot of the same music, a lot of the same editing techniques, and the promos before the fights are a lot like this. Like, they show the profile of a fighter in black and white behind, in front of a black background, and they just hype up the fight. I put a lot of care into this one, just to make sure it looked as authentic as possible. And I can't take all the credit for how it came out. I had a lot of help with this. My friend Joe, who you saw in the beginning, playing the Joe Rogan role to my Mike Goldberg, he's a Ranma fan too, but not to the extent of like I am. Like, back in the day, we used to be fanatical about this stuff, but this is like so many years later, and he's moved on with his life, unlike me. So, but he was really cool. I mean, he stepped right back into it, and he played the role spotlessly, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner there calling the action with me. And he came across really good on the voiceover. And my friend and his girlfriend, Meredith, was the voice of Ukyo in this, who you'll see in the cutscenes. And she's a professional actress, and I couldn't have asked for a better Ukyo. She didn't even know the character, and she handled it like an absolute pro. In fact, my wife and I were just staring in awe after she delivered these lines, and we're like, wow, that's how it's done. So there was a lot of unique prep on this one that really set it apart from all the other profiles that I did. In my mind, it'll always make this absolutely unique among the other profiles. Some parts of this were a true test of my patience, because, well, for one thing, these cutscenes that you see before you right here, you might even notice my technique if you stare at the edges, the way they kind of flicker in and out. This was a real labor of love creating those cutscenes. What I had to do was I had to go into the anime and pluck all the animation cells that I needed, freeze frame them, and then convert them to picture files. Then I put those picture files into Print Shop and either blacked out the background, or as you see right here, green screened out the background. And that I had to do manually. I had to go in with a little paintbrush tool and get into every crevice and every edge and just make sure everything was as smooth as possible. It was a real labor. It took forever. It took me weeks just to do just to get the cutscenes ready. And then once those were done, I had to take my voices and then try to sync the mouth with the dialogue. And it's very difficult. You might notice whenever they speak in anime, I noticed this the hard way. It's always 3 frames of animation. It's always a mouth wide open, a mouth half open, and a mouth shut. So, and with those 3 frames, you can pretty much accurately make it look like they're talking, if you're creative with it. It just takes a lot of time, and I ended up putting the time in, and I'm surprised I was able to get this done in time for the special, because if I remember right, I was already running the special before this was even completed. So, and you know what? I've talked all this time, I haven't even mentioned the character that this is about. Crepe King Joe. That's him. He was more of a means to an end for me. You might even remember from when I mentioned him in my top 10 favorite bit characters list, that he was there to bring the spark back in Ukyo. Ukyo had become kind of a complacent character who was basically arm candy for Ranma Saotome, and I think Crepe King Joe really played his role perfectly in that he, at least for one episode, brought that fire back in Ukyo that we had originally fallen in love with, and which made the character. And we end here with the tale of the tape, something else that I plucked right from a UFC event, studied it, actually went into a UFC event and looked at it and tried to recreate it with the tools that I had. You might notice my dog in the logo for Harley Davidson there. And this has been a Ranma 1/2 character profile commentary. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This was one of my favorite profiles that I've done. Maybe not my favorite profile, but it's definitely up there. If you enjoyed this, I have a lot more commentaries like this on the Dailymotion site, so tune over to there. You'll be sure to find some fun surprises as well. And that's me signing off. Hopefully, I have all the filming I need to do for my next profile done. So all I gotta do really is put the pieces together, and I'll have another one out on YouTube ASAP. So that's it for me, and life is Ranma, guys. Later.